Welcome, Chris, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about, Skeletal Remains, this new album, fragments of the Ageless, and obviously more things related to the metal world. So we're starting by asking, I saw that the band during the last 2 years was very active with full shows in Europe, US, a little came to Mexico, and more things. So how was the band during the last 4 years since your last album?
We've been good, man. Yeah, we've just been busy, like you mentioned. We've been touring a lot. Obviously when the record came out, it was around COVID time, so there wasn't much touring. But once things started picking up, we started getting really busy, and yeah, we haven't really stopped since. We took a little bit of a break, I guess, to kind of, well, actually not really. We stayed pretty busy even during the recording process and all that. Um, we would even with the writing, we would try to do like the writing for this record. Um, we would just get it done when we were, when we weren't touring or when we had time and we were home. But the band's been great, man. Like, just, I mean, can't complain. We're happy to be able to play shows and be able to be out there, touring and stuff.
Hmm. Okay. Nice to know. So, well, as you mentioned, 2 years passed about 2 years, 4 years passed for the last album, Tupman of Chaos, and at that time at that time you released that album, during the pandemic. Now, 4 years later, we have these the fragments of the Ageless to listen live. So, in this case, how will you promote these fragilest Ageless? Will you mix the songs from In Tube of Chaos, because mostly, as you mentioned it, in 2020 there's no shows, closing doors, etc., no shows, etc., etc. But now you have much better promotion for this new one. How you will focus this new set list for the Skeletal Remains? Focus on both albums, or perhaps just one, this new one?
No, we always tend to try to mix things up and make the set list, as I like try to make it to have at least a couple songs from each record. I know each one of our records is quite different from each other. So, there's a lot of people out there that really like, for example, our second record or our third record. So we try, when people come out of the show, we try our best to just mix everything up. Obviously, right now, with it being that this is a new record, it's going to be heavily a lot of the newer stuff, but we still try and change things and add things from the past record, from the previous records. And yeah, like we're even playing some songs. Like, we have a couple shows coming up here next week, for the album release shows, and we're we're putting in some songs that we haven't played live in, you know for a couple of years now. So we're always trying to change things up and keep the set list interesting, and try to play as much of a variety of the songs from different albums to for the fans to be happy, obviously, because there's a lot of times where we play shows and like people are always asking for certain songs. And yeah, it's really hard to put it's really hard to pick and put so many songs in one set list. So we always try to do our best and mix things up as much as possible.
Okay. Okay. Skeletal Remains it is a band that grew rapidly with extreme metal world. Since your first album released by FDA Records, then released your last all other album released by Dark Descent Records, and now you are with Century Media Records. So that's amazing for a band that well, has in years more 12 years in existence right now, since 2011. So how do you see this group grew and the band since the beginning to now?
Yes, we've been growing, with time or whatever, but I feel like our growth has actually came a little bit slower than compared to other bands that, like, for example, there's some bands that came out a couple years ago and are extremely huge. So I think for Skeletal Remains, I tend to think that we have more of a diehard fan base, instead of like fans that are just kind of like discovering, or like, it's because right now I feel like death metal, for especially here in the United States, it's very trendy. There's a lot of I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess, but it's for me. It seems like it's kind of like turning. It's kind of becoming like very trendy here, and it's not a bad thing. You know, obviously, the more the merrier, and um, you know, the more fans there is, even the better. You know, the more people that come out to shows. You know, the more merch we sell, and the more support we have. But yeah, no, I feel like the for Skeletal Remains, our fan base has grown quite slowly, and I think that's for a reason. And I think the fans that we have are definitely more diehard fans that really understand what we're trying to do and are really fans of like what we're trying to do, and not just like in it because it's like the new thing to do, I guess. That makes sense. But yeah, I mean, we're like I said, we're definitely stoked of where Skeletal is and where this band has got us. We got to tour with a bunch of our idols, which is like in reality. I mean, we're all just fans here in the band. You know, that's the reason we play this music, because we're fans of these bands that we grew up listening to. So being able to tour with some of those bands has been really really awesome. And yeah, man, we're super stoked. We're super stoked with all the opportunities that we had, and um, yeah, we're just happy to be able to keep writing music and playing music for fans that are, you know, they're true diehard death metal fans.
Mhm. Okay, okay. Nice to know. Always when when a new album is released, especially with Skeletal Remains, many people compare it with the first album, and that is what I see a lot of things with the Skeletal Remains when I hear the new album, because I see the social media and a lot of people sharing their photos for the first album, for the second album. I don't know. This is a common thing in a lot of bands. Because many people prefer the rawness of the first album, and not many people understand that the musicians improve or get better in the new album in every sense, recording, composing, etc., and obviously the cover art also. So in this case, what is your point of view about about when a band grow up during the recording process, composition area? You will get better musician, but at the same time you lose the essence of that rawness that you had in the first album.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the first record is obviously going to be very important because it was their first record. And I think this applies to a lot of bands. Morbid Angel, for example, like there's people out there that worship Ultras of Madness, and they think that's like they to them that's the best record. And I mean, that was at one point in my life that was my favorite record, you know. But obviously, as I grew and as I tend to like kind of um, appreciate more of the later stuff now. Um, I don't know if it's just me getting older and kind of I'm not really sure, but I feel like it's like that for like a lot of bands. Obviously, like for us, for example, our first record was, you know, we were just young kids trying to sound like our favorite bands, which is essentially what we're still doing now, but we're a bit more mature now. We're trying to actually push ourselves as musicians and as a band to be better and to release a very high quality record each time we release a new record. And I think a lot of bands, that's kind of like their goal, you know. If a band kind of just sits there and releases the same album that sounds exactly like the first album every time, then that doesn't for me at least, it doesn't really move me. I guess it doesn't really like sound interesting to me. I mean, it's good for bands to change. I'm not telling you like bands to change completely their style, but they're, you know, for their sound to, you know, evolve into something better. Like I always appreciate that. Like yeah, just like Morbid Angel, that's a perfect example. Like people people don't like later Morbid Angel, like Formulas, Gateways, pretty much after David and Vincent left, and I think that's some of the best stuff they ever released. And people who hear Skeletal Remains, I'm sure, can tell that that's a lot of that later stuff is a big influence on us.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Okay.
I mean that's gonna be everywhere. I think people just, you know, maybe because it was the first record they listened to from us, and that's kind of what stuck with them, and they thought that like the band was gonna sound like that for, you know, for the rest of the band's life or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a hard thing to explain, but I mean, I totally get it. Um, I just, yeah, I think like for example, like for me, like when I first heard Alter Madness, I thought it was amazing, and that was my favorite record. And then when I heard like some of the later stuff, I wasn't too into it. Like I was with Ultras of Madness. But like I said, now that I've, you know, got older, I've kind of I've learned to appreciate those records even more because they're fucking. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Okay, interesting to know. Well, Skeletal remains since the mortality are releasing albums by the mixing by Dan Suano and doing the cover arts by Dancia Grape, a great people into the extreme metal, especially in the metal war around the world. So so why do you decide to work with them for these three albums? Perhaps this Dance One has the essence at the time to mix and master all these last three albums and repercute in your kind of music that you play now.
Yeah, I think it just comes back down to like being a fan of the music and being able to work with the people that you know we look up to. Um, like being able to work with Secret, for example, that's something we wanted to do since the first record, but you know, being on a smaller label, being a smaller band, we just didn't have the budget to make that happen. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just we've worked with them multiple times. Like we've worked with them now. This is our third record with that combo, and we've just done it because it's worked out so well in the past. And yeah, I don't know. Like for example, for Swano, like he really understands. Obviously, him being involved in this style of music since the beginning of it, he kind of understands it really well, and he really knows what the sound we're trying to go for and what we're trying to do. And there's just a very good relationship there that works. And like there's a lot of stuff that that I guess it just really clicks when we're working together. So yeah, I don't know. It's just something that we've, you know, like it's kind of like if it's not broken, why fix it, you know? But don't get me wrong, it's not something that we're going to be doing for the rest of the records. Like yeah, we definitely would like to change things up at some point, try different artists. There's 100 more artists that are very good, like artworks, for artworks or whatever, that are doing great jobs. So yeah, we definitely would like to try something else at some point. But as of now, you know, it's worked out really well, and I'm not sure if the next record's going to be with the same people, but it might be. It just really depends. It also depends on timing and you know, the schedules of these, you know, like of each person. Like there was another producer we wanted to work for in Tumen, I think it was. He wasn't available, and so Swano was. So you know, we used him, and this record we, you know, we figured that it worked out fine. So yeah, it's just I don't know. We're just really fans of the people we worked with, and it's been a great. We've had a great relationship with them. So yeah,
Hmm.
we're just super stoked that with obviously the end result of the whole thing, the whole project.
Hmm. Okay. So other things, one that now is a common thing, as you can see in the world, is that a lot of people are complaining about the AI are doing the cover arts for a lot of people. You know, you are working with Dancia Grape, and I know that the label is has relationship with him because that's normally Dancia Grape's a legend into the extreme metal world.
Mm-hmm.
It's for this aspect. So a lot of bands try to get their cover art with Dancia Grape, but the prices for these artists is very expensive for many bands around the world because that's normally that his own career since the 90s and since the end of the 80s. 90s was a huge successful with a lot of cover arts for him. So, but with this, what is your opinion about now to rent or to hire Danzig Grave, Adam Burke, or perhaps the well-known artist doesn't have the budget to create. They have to use the AI to create a new art. So, what's your point of view now
Yeah.
about this new the hated people that hate the AI in general?
Well, I mean, being involved in music, I mean, no matter what it is, there's always going to be haters for anything. Um, I think AI is it's not anything we would ever use. Um, you know, we tend to kind of be into the more aspect of, you know, an artist actually creating something out of your ideas instead of you putting into a computer and see what comes out. I think it's a good tool. I mean, like you said, especially for bands that like are starting now and don't have any money. do stuff. I mean, I think it's a good tool to have. I don't know if I would never, if I was in a band, I would probably not ever use it, but I think it's nothing new. It's kind of like the same thing that happened, you know, when technology took over, you know, like recording, like everything went digital. Um, it's kind of similar to that. I think it's been happening for a while. It's just, you know, like I said, and no matter what it is, there's always going to be people that hate on it just to hate on it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, you know, fuck that shit. Whatever it is, what it is. I don't really care. Um, Skeletal, I don't think we would ever use that. I don't. Yeah, I prefer someone actually speaking to someone and interchanging ideas and getting their response and their feedback and their input on stuff because that's what makes it special, you know. Um, so I mean, for Skeletal, we'll always use you know, an actual artist who can create something out of the brain instead of it being, you know, created out of you know, a computer, whatever the fuck, however the fuck it works. But you know, like you said, like you mentioned, like yeah, there is bands out there that don't have a budget, or a band that's just starting, um, that can't afford to get an artwork done or can't afford to hire a good artist, um, who can possibly use it as a tool. Then you know, go for it. You know, that's your band. Do whatever you want to do. It's none of my business. Um, but for Skeletal, I can only speak for us. Like, yeah, we would never go that route. But yeah, I don't know, man. In reality, it's like I feel like no matter what it is, people are just gonna hate on it because it's a new thing to hate on. It's just like a trend as well. Like people tend to just jump on trends because it's a new thing. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I never really thought about it. I mean, definitely, I would never use it. But you know, there's a lot of other things you can do. You can use it for. I mean, it could be useful as far as like getting an idea out that you have, and then maybe you creating your own thing with it. You know, you adding to it, changing things around to make it your own. Like I can see if something like that could work, but yeah, I don't know. I get it as to like when people are just kind of lazy and they don't want to, or just don't want to support other artists, and that aspect. And yes, I get it. But as far as like hating on it just to hate on it because it's a new thing that people are hating on, it's like that's stupid too. But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's not really something I kind of, I tend to see it here and there on like social media, but I don't really like get involved with any of that. I just see it and like, ah, whatever. I don't have time for this shit. But yeah, I see that people are like completely hating on that stuff. But that's like I said, with anything else, people just tend to hate.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Now returning to these fragments of the issue list. So this is the fifth album in the career of the Skeletal Remains. So what for you is the special? Perhaps this new album has a special meaning on the career of Skeletal Remains, or perhaps it's another album that presents the new sound of the Skeletal Remains. Perhaps this album has a special one for you.
I mean, it's definitely special because it's our fifth record, and you know, it's definitely special also because it actually involves a full band, if that makes sense. The last couple records, like we were getting friends to help out for the record, just to like fill in as musicians, but there wasn't really a solidified lineup. So I think that also makes it special. And you know, we have a really good team here, and I'm super stoked with everybody involved, and I hope it sticks this way. And yeah, I mean, as far as like the sound, or you know, this is kind of just like the next thing for us. Like it's a natural progression. It's not, like I said, we're not really trying to, I guess, release something that's going to be like, oh my god, this is completely different. Like, no, we're a death metal band, and that's kind of how we like how Skeletal was started. Is we're literally just here to try and continue that sound that, you know, what's going on in the late 80s, early 90s, that, you know, that we look up to and that influenced us to, you know, start the band. But yeah, no, it's definitely special, and I'm stoked to see what people think about it. I know every band says this, but I think it's our best work yet. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm mostly just really excited to release it. Just the worst part, you know, kind of just recording a record and having to wait 6 months for it to get released. So I'm happy that we're literally just a week away, and I know some people have already been getting pre-orders, and we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from it. So yeah, man, I'm stoked. I'm really happy to see I'm really happy to hear that people are enjoying it, and I'm stoked to see what people would think about it once it actually drops.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. So, relating to this album again. So, for you, we are living in a world now that prefers to hear singles. As you can see, a lot of people are doing the playlist with this kind of stuff. And for this reason, for you, which single or which song or songs define or capture whole essence and textures that these fragments of Ageless has?
Well, of the three singles I think that we released, that's the reason why we picked those because are you saying just to one of them, one single, or just like in general?
No,
Because I
it's
feel like
dependent. That's depend of you.
yeah,
Perhaps one, two singles.
yeah, yeah. I feel like the three singles that were pushed out for that reason, so people can kind of understand and get a vibe of what this record's going to be like. Um, but there are songs on there that like from the three songs that we released, those aren't my favorite songs on the record. There's two other songs on that are yeah, there's the other two songs. There's two songs that are my favorite songs on the record, and they were not part of the singles. But the reason we picked the singles is because yeah, like that kind of gives you an idea of what this record is about and how like what we were trying to go for and what like the vibe of it, I guess. But if it was up to me, I would have I like if somebody asked like, hey, I want to check out your record. Which is the first song you would recommend? I would probably be a different one. It'd probably be Unmerciful. That's one of my favorite songs on the record. Or Evocation. That's the instrumental. And I don't know, those songs really just really stood out to me, and they're just a little bit different than what we've normally done. And yeah, I don't know, they I feel like they're very catchy, and they're just like they kind of have you on edge the whole time. Oh shit, like it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, those two songs for sure from the record are my two favorite songs. But as far as like for the singles, I think the three singles we released were released for that reason because it kind of introduces like it gives you the vibe of what the whole record's going to be about.
Okay. Um, Usually when a band plays or do a cover in the album, so it's for some reason. Perhaps you like the song, perhaps you have an scenes that you hear that album for that song for the first time. And when I saw these fragments of Eagles, I saw that you are covering a song from Hate Eternal, Messiah of Rage, or Messiah of Rage. So for you, why do you select this song to do a cover for Hate Eternal? Perhaps in a special meaning for you this song.
Definitely, I mean it's I feel like in the direction that we're going now, it kind of fit perfectly with the record, and it's obviously a great song. And it's a very underrated song. I don't think a lot of people know about it because it's only on the demo, that first demo they did. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just felt like that song kind of fit the sound of the record, and um, it really. I mean, obviously, Hate Eternal is a big influence too, and especially on this record and the last one. And yeah, I don't know, but we just felt like that was the perfect song to cover. Um, and I think a lot of people out there might not know that this song because, like I said, it was only on the demo, and people only like sometimes people don't even listen to the demos. They only go for the first record or the second record. And since this song wasn't involved in any of the other records, it was just released in the demo. I feel like a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, well, what the fuck? I've never heard this. Where's this from? So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a fucking awesome song, and we felt like if we felt like kind of fit the Skeletal Remains sound, like the vibe we're trying to go for, and like the style that Skeletal Remains has. I felt like that fit perfectly. So yeah, that's the reason why we did it. And just paying respects to our idols.
Mhm. Okay, okay. Well, we are very close on to end this interview, Chris. And for this aspect, what kind of plans do you have for this fragments of ageless. Perhaps you will do more videos to promote these albums. Perhaps you will embark tours in Europe, US, or who knows, a full tour here in Latin America. Because at the beginning of the last year, you did a tour in Mexico. So well, so perhaps what kind of plans do you have for these fragments of the ageless?
Well, obviously we're planning on going back out on the road and playing this music live for everyone to hear. As of now, we only have the album release shows confirmed, and then we have a tour that's going to be getting announced in the next week or two here in the United States. And then we go back to Europe in the summer for festivals. There's another tour in the fall in the States or whatever in the United States, and then there is actually talks about possibly doing some South America, Latin America dates in December. So, but it's not confirmed yet. So I'm not really sure if that will happen. Hopefully it will. We would love to come back there. And then there's talks about doing a pretty big tour in Europe, like at the beginning of next year. So yeah, that's all we have as now. I mean, I'm sure stuff is going to come up with time, things always come up. So I'm sure there's going to be more stuff, but yeah, as of now, it's our plan is just to get out there and play this new music for everybody, as much as possible and anywhere possible that we can. We'd love to go back to like Asia, Australia, and possibly hit some places that we've never been. Like I know we've always get hit up about going to like Greece. We've never been there, so yeah, I don't know. We just want to get out and play as much as we can, and play this record for everybody.
Okay. Well, well, Chris, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one like me. I know a lot of the tests for these new fragments of the Ageless. It's a great record, by the way. We did a review on the web. So congratulations on this new record. So perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallarium followers?
Yeah. Thanks to anyone that checked out the interview, and then hopefully you guys enjoy the new record. And if you haven't picked up a copy, please pick up a copy, order one, support your favorite bands, and hopefully we'll be there at some point to play live for you guys. And thank you, man, for having me on, and thanks for the interview. And yeah, I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see each other soon at some show or something.
Thank you very much.